everything was scheduled already to replace the ash and this type of thing, but we have a tree department that's second to none, and our contractors that we hire are also very, very good, and they've been doing it for years, so we don't want to mess with that. There's no way that we can distribute trees to homeowners to plant, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to cut wires or gas lines or something like that, because they're not going to call the services. Anybody that we plant, all those services are staked out ahead of time, so they know what they're doing. So it's just an accident waiting for a place to happen, and there would be all kinds of cut wires and lines and things like that if we left it up to the homeowner to plant out on it's a very narrow window that you have out on the boulevard with all the wires and services that are there. So I hope that doesn't carry, nobody even considers that, because it's just not feasible. Thank you.
Councillor Miles?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have to stand again. This isn't a meet your candidates night. It was never intended to be a meet your candidates night. We had a staff presentation on the ice storm response and recovery update. For the first time, members of council learned that we weren't going to be getting the 81 million that we thought was coming to us. It was the first time that we heard that we were spending $100,000 a day and we don't have a budget to pay for it. It was the first time that we heard that the province isn't going to give us a cent for 10 years. It was the first time that we heard that June 22nd there was a cutoff date, and any of the work that happens after that was not going to get reimbursed to the taxpayers of the city of Brampton. It was the first time. And this council reacted as they should. They were angry and they said, it's not acceptable. We want our constituents and our residents to know that the funding isn't coming from the province of Ontario, that the rules have changed. The fact that it's in the middle of a provincial election is a detail. And maybe it's a detail that's going to give us some leverage. But this is not politicking. This is not getting members of the 3 leaders of the party together to find out what they're going to do about the election. This is an honest response to an emergency, that's not the word, a disaster that has befallen our community. And we can sit back and say, okay, this is what the province is handing out. And we can live with the fallout of it for years and years to come. Or we can say, no, we don't accept this. That's why we have an emergency relief fund. That's why we, as members of the country and the province, why we pay money into a disaster relief fund. We deserve it in the city of Brampton. That's what this is about. So we need the politicians here to hear us, but I think more importantly, we need our residents here. This is about letting the residents of the city of Brampton know what's going on. And you know what? Maybe they're not going to come. Maybe we just don't have any interest out there, but I think we do. I think when people understand, and how are they going to know if we don't tell them? We just learned of this a week ago Wednesday, and what was our reaction to it? No way. No way are we going to stand for this. We need our community to say the same darn thing. No way. We're not going to stand for this. And they can come and tell us, no way, we're not going to stand for it, but what good is that going to do? You need for them to be saying to the provincial government and potential leaders, no way, we're not going to stand for it. So that's what it's about. Is a university important? Of course it is, and we do have priorities, but right now I think the biggest priority that we have is emergency relief fund. Otherwise, how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay without even the trees, some $30 million for the storm? We don't have the money. And the only way that we can pay for it, if they don't help us out, is by taxing our taxpayers, and that's what this is all about. And it has to happen now, and we have to be prepared to deliver that strong message to our constituents. You know what? That's what council said last week. That's what we want. We want the strong message that we don't accept it. We don't accept the decision that the province has made, that they're not going to fund it for 10 years and blah, 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 what we said.
Well, I mean, a lot's been said. I absolutely agree with Gail. I mean, last week we were incensed when that was the first we heard about that. So, and I'm not gonna repeat all that, but my understanding was we were going to hold a special council meeting to deal with this item. We're not dealing with any of the other items. We wanna have an all candidates meeting before June 12th here in the council chambers and invite them all here to hear what they're gonna do for Brampton. I'm absolutely fine with that. But this one was to deal with this issue because it's a pressing issue that we have to get it in, and staff were told, go ahead and do what you're still doing, and we were gonna send the letter, as the other municipalities were, I believe, gonna say the same thing. That you can't throw this change into us partway through the game of cleaning up and expect us to respond in a timely manner, and that when we haven't completed the job. So I'm fully in favor of us having a special meeting dedicated to this. And that's what I thought we were doing. Now I'm hearing other things being thrown into the mix. I absolutely don't support any of the other issues dealing with it other than invite them to a special council meeting to deal with this item. And it was, I believe it was the 3 leaders and the current MPPs that are sitting in the House that represent Brampton, except we have one that's jumped ship just before all the crap hit the fan on all the other issues. So maybe they'd like to come and explain their position too. Thank you.
So council, I think we're all in agreement wanting to get full reimbursement for the debris costs. And I just want to re-emphasize that if we're using this May 28th date to quite specifically deal with ice debris, that it's very clear to the provincial government this doesn't trump the other advocacy priorities this council has approved. But this date is to say the formula that was provided, the payment over 10 years from now, the cutoff date, all of that doesn't work for Brampton. So that's what's being communicated as part of the staff presentation. And is this now proceeding as a town hall meeting or a special council meeting on May 28th? What are you doing? There's a difference in format, so.
So through you, Madam Mayor, the current motion before council is to hold a special council meeting.
And there's nothing else added to it. So then do it as a special council meeting. And then that's the only item on the agenda, and then it's clear to everybody. So you're not gonna have people coming saying, what about this and that, if you'd like. Yeah, whatever you'd like.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think the discussion today has captured what we're trying to propose as staff in terms of advocacy and our communication program. The basic structure of the night will basically be the same, and the lead-up advertisements and the communication tactics will be the same, except with a special council meeting, it'll be more structured in terms of council's procedural bylaw. So we're happy to accommodate whichever one is the desire of council, but our tactics for communication will be basically the same. And we'll still do a presentation, and then if you choose to do a special council meeting, then you'll have procedural bylaws in effect, and will be a single item, and that would be the difference. Yep.
Since our meeting last week, I read that the provincial government is saying that the time frame is a directive coming from the provincial or from the federal government, and so I think it's important that the MPs be here too, because if we don't, then we're going to get it's because of the federal government, and we do have a number of federal MPs that I'm sure would be responsive to their constituents. They may not even be aware of this, so I think both. And let's just leave it as council direct it as as a special council meeting. And we can, even at a special council meeting, we can make provisions for delegations for the public to speak, right?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, delegations on the subject matter on the special meeting agenda would be,
Yes.
the public would be available to come forward and delegate.
Okay, I think that would perhaps then be the appropriate way to go, so that we stick to the subject at hand. Right? Okay, all in favor, oh, I can't say all in favor.
So Councillor Miles, the city manager is indicating that we'd still have the info meeting prior to the special council meeting. And then I think the special council meeting concept, then it's specific to ice storm debris relief funding. And then that's why it's not including everything else, and you don't have delegations to everything else. It's not about Brampton's overall priorities. This is specific to the ice storm relief for municipalities, the disaster relief fund, federal and provincial funding, correct?
So
Good.
the 5 to 7 is cleanup services, and then at 7 o'clock, we would be in the council chambers, and we would have the staff presentation that talks about financial impacts, provincial policy, the changes we need, and then delegations, right? Is that right? Okay,
And who
perfect,
are we inviting?
perfect.
We're inviting MPPs and candidates and MPs
Okay.
And the public,
and the
Oh,
public.
of course, the public,
The
but we want
public
the
is
public to
Absolutely.
know
most
the,
important.
And the
the
media.
truth.
and the media.
Rogers has made arrangements to broadcast the meeting. Okay, council, all in favor of the, special council meeting for Wednesday, May 28th, to be called at 7 o'clock. Thank you, that's carried. All in favor of the remaining minutes of the committee meeting? Since we're there, we may as well, is there anything else to speak about? All in favor? Thank you, that's carried.
Committee of Council.
We now begin the presentations from the three chiefs, and the mayor has to leave in 15 minutes, but Councillor Dillon is acting mayor, and he'll be able to take the chair. And so, a welcome, Chief Cuttajar.
The purpose of our presentation today is to provide you with a very high-level overview of the activities that have been undertaken by our department for the first part of this year. So it's a year-to-date report, and I'll be kicking it off, and then my colleagues will be following along. By way of background, our department mandate is to assist and support the CAO and executive leadership team in the planning and delivery of strategic initiatives and priorities on behalf of the City of Brampton. And our portfolio includes a number of service areas: economic development and tourism, communications, community engagement, and strategic and enterprise services. According to the latest statistics from our Economic Development Office, as you can see on this slide, new employment in Brampton exceeded 1,060 jobs so far this year in the first quarter of 2014. And another important indicator is the unemployment rate for the Peel region has declined to 7.5%. At this time last year, it was at about 9%. And the interesting information around the unemployment rate is that the Peel level is now at parity with the provincial level. And at the height of the recession, there was approximately a 2 to 2.5 point difference between the provincial unemployment rate and Peel. So that's a good news story for Brampton. Industrial and commercial construction activity was approximately $30 million for the first quarter of 2014 as well. And overall construction activity in the city of Brampton exceeded $300 million. The Economic Development Office and the Brampton Board of Trade hosted a very successful annual Business Achievement Awards, known locally as BOBA. We had over 670 guests attend, which is a very good number for this event. So kudos out to the Brampton Board of Trade and to the staff of the Economic Development Office and to the winners of a BOBA. 8 individual businesses were recognized for their achievement. The third point that I wanted to highlight today was in relation to our post-secondary university strategy, and the 2 goals that were approved by council have been advanced. In the first quarter of 2014, Sheridan and the city have formed a committee to develop a feasibility study for a downtown campus development. So that's an exciting opportunity for the downtown and the city as a whole. The second goal related to attracting a research-oriented institution, and the province has issued a proposal call which the City of Brampton is actively pursuing. With respect to the downtown and central area activities, you can see on this slide that a number of key initiatives to help and support businesses in the downtown have advanced. The facade and building improvement program, round 2, has been initiated, and over $1 million of construction activity has been attracted by this particular incentive program, which is very good news, and you'll be seeing more of that when a staff report comes forward. The start of the 2014 display of wares bylaw has commenced, and this is an opportunity for downtown merchants and businesses to actually encroach into city property with their promotional items, with their product, and so on. So it's a really good news story for downtown Brampton as well. Corporate calling, our economic development staff continue to work with downtown and central area businesses and contacting them, understanding what their needs are, and supporting them with information and counseling. And downtown beautification initiatives are well underway with respect to a number of key areas, such as the Garden Square, Main Street, and laneway improvements. 2 key steps were advanced in the first quarter of this year related to the launch of the new Community Engagement Office. A leader for the office has been hired, and a new community engagement plan has been approved. And you'll be seeing and hearing more about our Community Engagement Office over the next few months. The city's corporate realignment program has also been well underway in our department. We formed a new division, the Strategic and Enterprise Services Division, by hiring a new director. And as part of this group, as you know, the portfolio includes a new centralized festivals and special events office, the Office of the Central Area, and Management Advisory Services. And our communication team has been very active in the first quarter of this year in developing a number of key initiatives, and I highlighted a few on this slide, including the strategic plan. You may have seen the banners and the publication related to strategic planning, and that's a very important way of raising awareness of the strategy and the initiatives and the priorities. You can see some of the other items: the ice storm recovery, Southwest Quadrant renewal plan, the 2014 municipal election, the LRT program, and second units were supported by our communication staff. This is a snapshot of our financial statement as of March 31st, 2014. And bottom line is our total expenditures are under budget as of March 31st, and our total revenues are ahead of budget in terms of actuals. So overall, our department is running under budget for the first quarter of 2014. And lastly, wanted to provide you with a number of initiatives looking ahead to the end of this year. The launch of the new Office of the Central Area, which will have its home on the ground floor of City Hall. The new Festivals and Special Events Office will come together over the next few months. Again, building on the startup of the new Community Engagement Office, the program will start to unfold later this year. Our Economic Development Office will continue to assist and support businesses with business counseling, information, statistics, site selection information, all of the information that they need to help in establishing their business or relocating. Our Economic Development Office will be moving to the ground floor of this building. They're currently on the second floor, so that's a major initiative for that division, and that'll create a storefront opportunity for providing better service to our customers and better access to our customers. Our Strategic Communications Group will continue to implement the communications plan, the corporate communications plan for the city as a whole, and we will continue to support council, the corporation, and the departments with their initiatives and priorities. Like all departments, we'll prepare a 2015 service plan and budget for consideration. And lastly, we will continue to support and assist all of our staff teams in the successful delivery of not only our department goals, but also the professional goals that each employee has. So with that, Madam Mayor, a very quick overview of the activity in our department for the first quarter of 2014. Thank you.
Councillor Miles and then Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just very pleased to move this recommendation. I'd like to also acknowledge the fact that there are lots of great things happening in the city of Brampton. If you read the department reports that are before us today, you can see that the city of Brampton really is a great city with lots of good things happening. And And I'd like to request that if all of the chiefs of staff have these, the highlights of their slides put together, that you give it to the press before they leave today, because I think it does show that there's great things happening and we're a pretty darn good city. Thank you.
Councillor Moore?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the chief. This is a great report, Dennis. Thank you. It's nice to have the snapshot in 4 pages, easy to read. I have a couple of questions. One is more a comment. On page 5, the staff newsletter, I've had a couple of inquiries from individuals who have retired from the corporation, who are not members of the Rose Club, but wish to stay connected through the additions of the connections. But for some reason, apparently, they have to be members of the Rose Club, so they've had to have served for 25 years before they can be considered to get the newsletter. And I just kind of think if somebody wants to stay connected, then we should leave that opportunity open for them. Do you have a comment on that?
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, you're absolutely correct. The current protocol that we have is that the connections would be available to members of the Rose Club, which includes current employees and retired employees who serve 25 years or more. That's our current protocol that we have for communicating the Connections newsletter. And you're absolutely right. It's a great vehicle for members to for retired employees to keep on top of what's happening here at City Hall.
So is that something we can accommodate? Allow people who are not members of Rose Club to get the publication?
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, I think we can revisit that and take a look at it.
At
We can
least
follow up with you.
electronically or something like that. There's no cost attached to that, and I don't know what, I know I've had 2 requests. If every member of council had 2, that's still not a lot of extra additions, or extra copies to put out. And I think that, on page I-1-6, could you expand a little bit on what you mean? Number 4, when you talk about pre-qualified international audiences versus qualified business inquiries and pre-qualified meetings. So could you explain a little bit what you mean by that terminology?
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, a pre-qualified meeting is a meeting that's established ahead of time with a company that we know is relocating or considering relocation into Canada or Ontario. So we would establish a proactive meeting and then pitch Brampton, pitch the amenities and the activities related to them. The audiences would be when we're at a seminar or we're in a large group of people and presenting Brampton, presenting the attributes of Brampton as a relocation opportunity. So if there were 100 people in that audience, they would be part of that broad number in terms of the audience in total. And then there are inquiries, and they are inquiries that would occur in relation to a presentation that we made or a direct mail, anything related to our marketing activities. So those are the general definitions for those type of inquiries.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Council, no more questions? And I have a motion that the presentation by D. Kutajar, Chief Operation Office, to the council meeting on May 21st, year-to-date 2014 activity report, Office of the Chief Operating Officer, to be received, and that the report from J. Corbett, Chief Administration Office, and the D. Kutajar, Chief Operating Officer, date May 1st, 2014, to the council meeting of May 21st, year-to-date 2014 activity report, Office of the Chief Operating Officer, to be received. All in favor? Done. Council, next item is G2, staff presentation by Mr. Ball, Chief Planning and Infrastructure Service Officer, year-to-date 2014 activity report. Ms. Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. Good afternoon, members of council. My pleasure to provide you with an overview of Planning and Infrastructure Services year-to-date. As you know, Planning and Infrastructure Services includes planning and building, our engineering group, and maintenance and operations, which of course incorporates today now both the parks and roads maintenance and ops, as well as animal services. Just to review where we are, as you know, we recently received approval from the province for the downtown special policy area. So that's a great kudos for us. Now opens the door for expanded development within the downtown area. I won't get into the storm cleanup, but as you know, a great deal of our focus in maintenance and operations has been focused on the ice storm cleanup, as well as the remnants of the issues coming out of the flood from July of last year. We also have final endorsement of the population employment forecasts for the city. This was critical for us because we needed that information in place to lead into the OP review, which is underway, and also future studies that we'll be undertaking, including a parks and facilities master plan and employment and office strategy for the city. We've seen advancement in the plan track upgrades. We're just about to enter into a contract with the vendor to continue with efficiencies. We are just completing now the phase 1 of the downtown infrastructure study. Again, a critical piece of information that identifies where we are at today with all our underground services as far as storm, water, sanitary, all the utilities, so that we can get an appreciation of what will be involved in upgrading those services as we move forward with development in the central area. We've just initiated the Chinguacousy Park Skating Trail project, and as part of the development approvals process, we're looking at trying to streamline and improve the timeliness and appropriateness of comments and agreements relevant to approvals. And we are just nearing completion of a new format for draft plan conditions and leading into changes with the development agreements, and we are communicating shortly with BUILD on those changes. Just a quick overview of our budget variances. As you'll note at the bottom right-hand side of the page, we are over our budget for this quarter of the year, and that's principally due to the storm, some additional costs related to the ice storm, as well as the fact that our revenues have not achieved what we had anticipated. Building permit revenues and revenues associated with development applications have not met our target for this quarter. However, we do expect to see applications increase with the finalization of agreements for Mount Pleasant, and also for a few areas in the northeast, as well as Riverview Heights as well. So we expect by the end of the next quarter to be in a little better shape on that front. Looking forward to the rest of 2014, we're into the spring cleanup. We expect to be complete. We're a little behind schedule, as you can appreciate on that, but we do expect to be in good shape by the middle of June. We're in the process of converting the existing traffic signal communication systems that we use, and that impacts all of our public sector network. Initiating the 2014 capital program is right now underway, and our staff should be updating you as projects come online as part of that capital program. We will be commencing, as I mentioned earlier, an employment land study and an office strategy. We see this as key to developing in the central area and the downtown, to ensuring we're protecting the right employment lands across the city, and also developing a good strategy to attract office development to Brampton. As far as the realignment goes in the department, we are still engaging in the consolidation of our fleet services from both the former roads and parks groups, and also undertaking a consolidation of the business services that support planning, engineering, and maintenance and operations. So we look to find some streamlining opportunities in that area, and potentially some cost savings that we'll be able to report on at the end of the year. So So that's my presentation, and happy to take any of your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Paul.
Thank you.
Councillor Hutton, your question?
Thank you, and I think I've moved the report, but I have a request. And all through um, the winter months and whenever we had any problems with streets, evenings, problems pop up, evenings, weekends, we had a go-to person. It used to be Brad Conklin, now it's Ed Van Ravens, and every time I called the cell phone on weekends or evenings, he answered and got results. We need someone like that in the Parks Department. Twice in the last 3 weeks, I've had to call, and I've called 4 or 5 different cell phone numbers. Finally, on Sunday, I had to call the contact center, and luckily I was able to get through. There was vehicles down in the park and a fire going down in the cricket field. The fire department was there in 15 minutes. I was lucky I was able to get through to the contact center, but I would like, and I think most of the other councilors as well, would like an Ed Van Ravens in the park department, that someone that we could call and know that we could get an answer, someone whose cell phone is on and who's available weekends and evenings when most of these problems occur. So I talked to Brian Armstrong about that. He was one who did get back to me eventually, but it isn't his department. But I was calling everybody that I could, everybody whose cell phone I had, and wasn't able to get anybody. So if you could find somebody, designate somebody there to be the go-to person, to be the Ed Van Ravens for the parks, because we do have problems on weekends and evenings mostly. That's when they occur in the park. So if you look into that, we'd really appreciate it, and give us a go-to person. That would be great.
To you, Mr. Acting Mayor, we do have a go-to person. As you know, we're in a little bit of transition in that area as well. We will get you the numbers to call to make sure you have those on hand. Also to mention that we like to think of ourselves as one department now. We are not parks and transportation. I'm surprised Ed didn't take your parks calls. But we will be making announcements very shortly on some restructuring in that area that I think will also help you with your communication. So we'll be certain to keep you up to date on that.
Thank you.
Councillor Moore?
Thank you. I'm through you to both the chief and the CAO. Perhaps now that the realignment, people are starting to slide into their seats and get into their new jobs and reporting to new bosses and things like that, can we perhaps get a whole new, an org chart with some names in them? Because I find I'm probably copying the wrong person now, or I'm copying people who don't need to be copied, because I think we're all probably kind of doing the same thing. We're just kind of, putting a few names in the carbon copy column and hoping that it sticks with one of them. And it's more just a reflection of who we're used to going to and who we think perhaps the new person is. So I think that would be helpful for us all, just those key positions. The other question I have is with respect to, as now the Summer Works program is going to start to unfold. At the region, when you go onto their website with their road program or major capital programs, you can call up the map and it shows you where the various construction projects are taking place, and when you click on it, it'll give you a contact telephone number and name. So if you're a resident in the area, or if you're somebody who uses that roadway or that part of the world to get to where you're going, and you have a question or a concern, you're going straight to the person that can provide some answers for you. Do we have that capacity here at the city? I know we looked at it a few years ago. We wondered if we could sort of piggyback on their initiative.
Yeah. Through you, Mr. Acting Chair, we do have the information, so certainly we can look at uploading that. If it's not already accessible right now, we can upload that.
I know we've had the conversation. I just wasn't sure where it was in the implementation. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel. I think there is a way to put the regional and the City Works programs together and have a one-stop shopping for residents who are visiting the website. Thank you.
No more
Mr.
questions?
Chairman.
Council, I have a motion to receive the presentation and receive the report. All in favor? Motion carried. The next item is G3, staff presentation by Peter Simmons, Chief Corporate Service Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor, and through you to members of council. My colleagues have paved the path for the presentation format, and I'm not going to deviate from it. The Corporate Services year-to-date report highlights the accomplishments, progress, and plans for the balance of 2014 as they relate to the work program and council priorities. Like other departments, Corporate Services focuses on the strategic priorities of the corporation, being growth management, corporate excellence, environmental stewardship, economic development, and community engagement. And just to remind council, the makeup of the Corporate Services Department consists of human resources, information technology, legal services, enforcement, clerk and administrative services, and of course the finance, and that's a result of the realignment in the latter part of 2013. Highlights of major accomplishments to date for 2014 include the following. By the end of March this year, we were experiencing a variance of 0.2% on the annual total budget, which I'll expand upon in the next slide. Of course, council knows that we develop and train our people. Human Resources launched the political acuity training for all employees of the corporation, and council will recall their role in the development of that module. Election planning continues to be well managed under the watchful eye of the clerk's office. Likewise, the strategy for effective and efficient records management was launched also in the clerk's office, and the AMPS program, Administrative Monetary Penalty System, will roll out in June. There was a report on that in your council package today. Corporate Services also led the way in a certain cost savings area and improving our technology management by leveraging opportunities and negotiated rates as it relates to mobile communications. To improve the customer service experience, Corporate Services introduced an online sign permit system on the portal. That's been well received. And finally, just of some of the highlights for this year, at least to date, we're continuing to work with our employees on what is a required, provincially required health and safety orientation to be completed by all supervisory staff by the July 1st deadline. That has been communicated to all staff. As it relates to a financial picture, and just very briefly, actual spending to the end of March was $11.6 million, which is approximately $139,000 more than what was budgeted. This is due in part to some additional labor expenses, and as we have already talked about today, some of that is attributed to ice storm related costs, as well as additional labor in processing FOIs, and also the unspent capital project, which we continue to work on. This is of no concern to staff. There was the matter associated with revenues is also worth highlighting. That's simply attributed to when we actually transfer from the reserve funds. And while it's not identified on the presentation, but it's highlighted in your report, our progress on audit recommendations is very positive, as was the response to council-directed demand response items. I can say that I'm very pleased with where the department is, and we will confidently pursue the balance of the projects to the best of our ability to the remainder of the year, which is highlighted here. Of course, we'll continue to put a great deal of effort and emphasis on delivering the 2014 election project. The Enforcement Division will publish and distribute the Making a Difference Guide, which has always been well received in the past, and will continue to do it again this year. Comprehensive review of the Property Standards Bylaw, which has already started. The framework for it will be underway balance of the year. Mental health strategy for a healthy workplace program is a large-scale initiative for the Human Resources Department. The implementation of a voluntary savings program, which is otherwise the RESP, which council is familiar with, in partnership with the Peel Youth Initiative. The continued work associated with preparing for a new collective agreement with the Brampton Professional Firefighters Association. That contract expires at the end of this year. And finally, the introduction and piloting of the Bring Your Own Device program, which is a very exciting initiative for the corporation. Mr. Acting Mayor, that concludes a highlight of the corporate services related initiatives up to the end of March and what we're planning for the remainder of the year, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Peter, the Making a Difference brochure that we put out, do we make sure that it gets out into the new subdivisions as people are moving in? Do we have a way of doing that?
can certainly take that up with the Director of Enforcement, ensure that we can distribute it to the new areas, just so that they're as informed as those that have seen the guide in the past. Happy
Yeah,
to do it.
because these people move in and sometimes they don't get any information, so I know it's difficult, but sometimes we've got to try to find a way of getting into. And also, the Region Appeal, I was talking to Councilor Moore, Region Appeal put out a booklet for their garbage, stuff like that every year. And I'm just wondering if there's a way we could partner with them when we put out some of our stuff, maybe save some costs, so it might be something that staff might want to look into.
Happy to take that away and discuss that with the appropriate staff.
Thank you, and I'd be happy to move the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. No more questions? Council, I have a motion to receive the presentation and receive the staff report. All in favor? Motion carried. Next item is G4, staff presentation by Mr. Patterson, Chief Public Service Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor and members of council. Pleased to present the year-to-date 2014 activity report for Public Services Department. The focus of our department, as you know, is on the public-facing businesses of the corporation. And we deliver those services through 6 divisions: facility services, fire and emergency services, transit, recreation and culture, Service Brampton, and our business services office. We've highlighted a few of our major accomplishments here, and there's a number of others listed in the report. As you know, we've tendered the construction of the Gore Meadows Community Center Phase 2, and this is a $31 million project. It will bring on many additional elements to that project: aquatics, fitness facility, water play facility, and active sports fields. And that tender was issued on April 3rd. We continue with the construction of the new fire station, 211, and that's a co-locate joint facility with Peel Region Paramedic Facility. And the anticipated completion date of that project is 2014. And of note, with that project, we plan to use the design, as you saw in a recent procurement report that we brought forward. We'll use that design for our 204 station replacement as well. We've recently received and equipped 10 articulated Zoom buses for fall service, and so we'll be launching the Zoom Bavard program in September, October of this year. In terms of, also on the transit front, we had a community engagement meeting for our transit expansion program, and received some great public input on service levels, on our infrastructure, our transit infrastructure, particularly some of the detailed input around shelters, bus pads, and bus stops. As you see, we collaborated with the Region of Peel District School Board, and the Boys and Girls Club on an application to the Healthy Kids Community Challenge grant. And that's a $1.5 million grant over 4 years, and that's to help kids develop healthy habits that they'll carry into adulthood. Our Active Assist program reduced financial barriers for approximately 1,005 residents, and that was just till the end of April. So a very strong intake on that program. As you saw a couple of weeks ago at council, our fire chief, Chief Andy McDonald, was awarded Fire Chief of the Year, and that was through the, I believe, the Ontario Municipal Fire Prevention Officers Association. And as Andy is a member of our team, we're happy to share in his success. Many of you have commented back to us positively on the launch of our customer service strategy, and in particular the improvements you've seen on the atrium of City Hall. And we've had tremendous feedback about the open concept service and the concierge reception approach. In terms of our finances, much like the others, we have a small variance. So our financial performance to the end of the first quarter of this year shows that we had a slight overage, and less than 1%, 0.86% to be precise, on a $258 million gross operating budget. So, and you can see how the trends show for the different categories. Labor expenditures down and revenues down, and that's related partially to the ice storm. And of course, the impact of absorbing some of those ice storm expenses into our budget. So thank you to our management team and our business services office for that sound fiscal management of our budget. In terms of our outlook to the end of the year, we continue to expand our rapid transit service, our Zoom service, and that's into existing areas and newly developed areas. Our corporate customer service strategy, Phase 2, you'll see many more improvements with that. We'll be providing 24/7 support for our election program. You'll see improvements related to online tax and DC payment options, automated cash dispensing and revenue collection, and of course training and customer service guidelines going out to all members of staff across the corporation. We look to continue to foster and promote the evolution of our recreation and culture programming, and you'll see a report coming forward very shortly that outlines all of those partnerships that we've worked so hard to establish in that area. We continue to implement our approved accommodation strategies. You heard from Chief Cuttajar what some of those are within this building. So the creation of the office for the central area and the movement of the EDO offices and the Small Business Enterprise Center to the main floor. And of course, you know the larger administrative space strategies we have underway related to City Hall, the West Tower, Civic, Flower City Campus, and Williams Parkway. We continue to pursue LEED standards in our new construction. In the past, we built many buildings that were built to LEED bronze or silver standards, but we didn't pursue certification. We've now established LEED silver as our minimum standard, so you'll see all our new buildings LEED certified to silver or gold standard. And we continue to complete audits related to our asset preservation. So we have a large portfolio of physical assets, and there's audits going on all the time, condition audits, structural, accessibility, designated substance audits. All those things feed into our long-range capital planning, and they all tie into our annual budgets. So that, members of council, is the end of my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Chief. Councillor Hames?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page I-1-4 in the I-4-4, at the bottom it has that there's a part that ensures Brampton remains one of the safest cities in Canada. I sit on the board of the Safe Cities Association, and I think this should be added. So there's 5 points there, but I think there should be a 6th point there that that tells us how, tells us what Safe City does. I can read that all out for you if I like. It's working with the Brampton Safe City Association in partnership with the community, police, fire, and the city departments to maintain safe, informed, and involved citizens and neighbourhoods, and to maintain Brampton's designation as a national safe city and an international safe community. There's a number of staff members that are part of that board of directors. I am one of those. The others
are listed from staff. Graham Hay, Mike Parks, Tina Hickey, Mike Mullick, Michelle Robinson, and John Ryan. And the current projects that they have done is the Journey Neighbourhood Centre, Queen Kennedy Neighbourhood, Celebrate a Safe Downtown Event, Neighbourhood Watch, Road Safety, Good Neighbours, Great Neighbourhoods. And I think just adding that to what you have planned in that same area, I think they should be sort of combined because they are contribute, to the city of Brampton. So what I'd like to do is add number six on there on the bottom of the page to put that in.
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, we'd be happy to do that, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. And in particular, you did mention a number of people who are representatives or liaisons from our department, Graham Hay, Tina Hickey, Michelle Robinson, and John Ryan, as well as those other staff members you named. So I'd be happy to add that.
To add that onto there?
Yes.
Thank you. Do I need to read that?
There are two more speakers than
He's just going to do it, right? Okay,
Councillor Moore.
thank you.
Thank you, Julian, for your report. Could you, on page I-1-4-3, under the Customer Service Excellence, number 8, could you expand a little bit on what you mean by a sequential building permit, standing operating procedure for city projects?
I'm not sure if I have the staff member here to help me with this, but that was a collaboration with Planning and Infrastructure Services and with Corporate Services Purchasing. And I don't know if there's someone here that knows the details of that program. Dan's going to assist. Thank you.
Through the mayor to the councillor, or the acting mayor to the councillor. We've been working with Julian's group to ensure that city projects are delivered in a timely and expeditious manner. What we were finding was we were applying the same rules to our projects as we would to the external developers, and in some cases that hurt us in terms of timing, just in terms of delivering the building permits in a sequential fashion. You'll know that we allow servicing to proceed ahead of full site plan approval, for instance, and that's the type of thing that we're trying to ensure happens with city projects as well as normal developer projects. So it's an effort to ensure that our projects are kept on time, and we've been, as I said, we've been working with Julian's people and our building department and our site plan staff to ensure that we have a coordinated process to deliver our projects quickly.
So if I can, through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Krasuski, are you suggesting that the process that we had for the developers was a better process than what we were applying to ourselves?
To the acting mayor, there is a little bit of an inconsistency there because when we have developers come in, we can enter into a conditional permit agreement, but we can't enter into an agreement with ourselves. So that's the kind of hurdle that we are trying to achieve through this coordinated response.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll have a conversation with you later to get a... Okay, thank you.
Councillor Sapari.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Julian, for the presentation. Just a quick question. I believe the tender was awarded just recently in the last week or so. Would you happen to know if it has been completed, or if for the Gore Meadows expansion I'm talking about?
My understanding, Councillor, was that the tender was issued April 3rd. So certainly I'll check with staff to see what the status of the tender process is.
I appreciate if you just send us a quick email. if it's public knowledge, that is, it'd be interesting to see who got the job. And hopefully it's a very reputable contractor, as the last contractor did, I think did a great job. I don't believe there's been too many problems that I've heard about anyway in the first phase. So now you also mentioned that there will be sports fields included in this. Specifically, is a cricket facility in this phase?
The cricket facility will be more in the Phase 3 development. And as you know, we've gone to the marketplace with a request for expression of interest on the Phase 3 development, looking to see if there's a potential for private and public sector partnership, but more focused on the Phase 3 development for the cricket.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Council, I have a motion to receive staff presentation and staff report plus Councillor Hussain Rahim's addition. All in favor? Motion carried. Council, next item is I-1-5. It's pulled by Mayor Fennell, new building Canada plan. Anybody have any question regarding this? None. I need mover. Moved by Council Plashy. All in favor? And I need 1 second. Councillor Gibson. Motion carried. Next item. Council, next item is I-3-1 and K2. All in favor in the report? Only one hand, 3 hands. Okay, motion carried. Next item, Peter. Council, next item is N1, notice of motion, retirement pension and health benefit program for elected officials. Anybody have any question? None? Okay, I need 2/3 vote to reopen this. All in favor? For N1. Can I vote, please? Show your hands. 5. Motion. All in favor? Yeah, I have. All right. Councillor, we have our staff report. Council members, anybody have questions regarding this report? None? Okay. Bob, any question? Council Supervisor, yes.
Yeah. It's just a question to staff. I see that there will be a saving if we adopt this program, this new options of 55,000. Is that over?
Annual.
Is that annual? That's an annual saving?
Yeah, it says right in the second line, annual savings of approximately 55,000.
Okay.
You still have questions, Council?
And this is this options are voluntary, I believe. Is it? We can, members of council can buy into it, or we have a choice whether we can go into this or not, I believe.
Through you,
Mr. Acting Mayor, that is correct. It's an individual election once council passes the report and the bylaw.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I need a mover to move the staff recommendation. Moved by Councillor Hames, all in favor? And seconder? Councillor Cullen? Yeah, motion carried.
You have, I don't know, I didn't see all the hands.
Yeah, I see. Here is. Motion carried. Public question period. Any question regarding this agenda today? Only one person? None? Bylaws? Councillor Hutton?
They haven't got here yet. There they are. Thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillon that bylaws 131-2014 to 143-2014 before council at its meeting of May 21st, 2014 be given the required number of readings taken by the mayor, the city clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto.
All in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Adjourn. Council, we went for closed session. There is nothing to disclose. The motion to approve the confirming bylaw. All in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Done. Council, next meeting is Wednesday, June 4th, 2014, 1 p.m. And after that, Wednesday, June 18th, 1 p.m. And the special meeting called for June 11th, 7 p.m. 1 o'clock here. On the development charter bylaw. Done. Meeting adjourned.
Great job.